a minute, you miss a lot.
Wait.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Hard world out here. You need somebody at home to at least treat you halfway right.
You're listening live to the Art McCoy radio show. As a matter of fact, it is the College of Common Sense.
I have it on YouTube. Well, pull that microphone up to you, Tom John. Turn the mic up. You know that's the weak mic. All right, ma'am, who are you?
My name is Carmela Perry.
Carmela?
Yes.
Carmela, where did I meet you at? Recently?
Yes. At an event Bajir Jones was doing. He was camping out on 79th and Superior for, Black Lives Matter and, just trying to get everybody together, for unity, for what's going on with the killings and everything. So that's where I met you at. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so the camp out was about all those things you're saying, and particularly about stopping the violence. Is that right?
Yes.
And when you came up to me, you said, I'm tired of this. And then you shared a story with me. Now share that story again with our millions of listeners.
My cousin was gunned down last Thursday. He was killed. He wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't a drug dealer. He was a nice guy. He was a family man. He was a business owner. And someone just rolled past and just shot him dead. And they left our family confused. And, and it's so unfortunate that it had to happen so close to home for me to even want to do something about it. But I guess that's just how it happens. And I'm ready to just stand up. I'm ready to fight for what's right. Because, Art McCoy, when I look around, people are dying that looks like me, that look like my children. So if whatever I can contribute, to help stop this violence and this crime on my people, I'm willing to do it. I'm so ready because it just has to stop. We have to wake up. Just plain and simple. You know what, Art McCoy, I watch the news every day. Every day there's a killing. I have not watched the news in the last, I want to say maybe 3 months where I haven't seen someone die every day. And they look like me. They look like my sons. So I'm here to just stress the point that we need to do something more. It's a candlelight visual going on tonight for a friend of mine. Her son was just gunned down as well. It's too much.
Where's that candlelight visual at?
It is, I'm not for sure, but her name is Cassandra McDuffie, and her son was just killed. I think his name was Jax, and he was just gunned down and killed like 2 days ago. And I'm starting to wonder, though. To be totally honest with you, I'm starting to think maybe it's like a hoist, because why is it happening so rapidly? And I just see only our people. Now, I don't know if it's wrong to say this. Maybe if I just saw
say it.
Maybe if I saw like other nationalities, it happening to them, maybe I'll think differently. But at this point right now, all I see is black people getting killed. Like we're about to be non-existent in a minute. And then these are young guys. These guys haven't had children. They haven't finished high school. That's too much. And they're getting their lives just taken from them. It's not because they're doing anything wrong. They're just there.
Yes, ma'am.
Like that's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. You know what? That's my biggest thing. It's just not fair. I'm not saying roll out no red carpet, but at least be fair. We have to be fair. And I don't see the Justice Center. Not the Justice Center. The justice being, it's not fair to none of us. And I'm speaking for black people. That's the only people. That's the only ones I see that it's happening to. So
yes, ma'am.
We just need to do something more. We need to do something more. That's why I was at the with Bajir Jones. I'm here. I'm ready to go anywhere and just help the cause.
So in other words, because you were on fire when you first saw what was happening, you said, wow, we need more of this. It's about time. And then you were still on fire when you woke up the next day and you went to the grocery store and bought these, bought food and stuff for the participants out there that had been camped out all night, and you were still on fire because what happened to your cousin really hurt you, didn't it?
Yes. Yes, it happened. It hit home. You know, you see it on the news and you think, oh, but then when it happens in your own family, it's like, damn, now.
Yes.
You know, and it's too much. It's too much. I'm ready to put on my dashiki, give me my dashiki, give me my tam, and here go my fist.
Yes.
You know, because it's too much. And I want to help. We need to redirect our girls.
Yes, ma'am.
To be, so we could at least love on our men. We're not loving on the black man enough, to me, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
We're not cherishing them like they should be cherished. You know, okay, he don't make 10 figures, he make 6 figures. But guess what? He's still the man of that house. If he make 2 figures, you see? So it just needs we need some redirection somewhere. We losing it somewhere. We need some type of connection somewhere. And that's why when I saw you guys out there, I was wondering, and I've been so illiterate, and I'm gonna be totally honest to people like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's just, I'm ready to get the word out there, you know, because I know already 100 people now that's probably not even hip to the Art McCoy radio show.
Yes, ma'am.
You see, so I'm just ready. I really am, you know, and it's bringing tears to my eyes because it's just a sad case. You know, I'm tired of seeing the visuals. I'm tired of seeing the balloons. I'm tired of seeing them teddy bears wrapped on every pole. I don't want to see that no more. You know, I'm tired of seeing that. You know, I don't, our people, we're not being educated. It's just not fair.
So I don't want to.
What?
I don't want to take you political. I see the tears coming from your eyes. That's the same passion I saw that the morning at the camp out. The same passion I saw. The tears for your cousin, but the tears for the people also. I see your passion. So my question is this to you, ma'am, and if it's too deep for you, we'll move on to another question. But the fact of the matter is that when the Republican convention was downtown, they brought in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of police and security and all type of security mechanism to keep that area safe. They did it. All right. When the Brelow verdict and the police situation, they spent millions to make sure that the people were safe from rioting and all of that. All right, and they did it. So, to me, the next step would be to use some of these millions and use some of these same resources, move them into the community where your cousin and these other young men and women are being murdered. But that's what I don't see. And so I'm asking you, do you see the same thing or do you see something different?
No, I see the same thing. I do.
So in other words, everybody else and everything else is protected, but our communities where we live.
Exactly.
And that's what you that's another one of your main points. All right. Yes. Talk right into the microphone.
Yes. I mean, because you have a point, like how we don't have any security or anything in our community. Like, I'm going to use just, can I say East Cleveland, for instance?
You can say whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
We're not censoring.
Okay, like East Cleveland, for instance. Like, that place, it looks like a ghost town to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't understand how I could ride out to Strongsville and see like pillars and how their community is so clean, it's so nice. You know, I don't understand how it's a big difference if we're in Ohio.
Yes, ma'am.
You see, like, so what makes them so much different than EC?
Yes, ma'am.
You see, so where's the money out there? Why isn't it in EC? You see, and I'm quite sure we're equal. You know, if you take 500 people, like say it's 500 residents in EC and 500 in Strongsville, it's the same. You see, this is the scale here.
Yes, ma'am.
So why isn't the money being spent like far as for the security and everything? I don't get it. I don't get it.
In other words, it seems like in our community with your cousin and others, black lives really don't matter, does it?
They do not.
And otherwise, they
No.
wouldn't be killing like this, and everybody's ignored it. Otherwise, East Cleveland wouldn't be like it is now, and everybody would be ignoring it.
Right. Exactly.
On the line, talk to me.
Hamtonio.
Hamtonio, talk to me, sir. Good to talk to you.
How you doing there, sir?
I'm doing good, Hamtonio.
All right. I'm just calling in to thank you, man, for coming out to the press conference at the Black Shield. And I also want to give my condolences to the young lady there for her loss as well, because there's something that's definitely on our radar. And, trying to see what we can do on our end to help with that situation.
Ma'am, you're on the line with us is Lynn Hampton. We call him Hamtonio because he has a radio 360 info that comes on Saturday at 11. But he is the president of the Black Shield Organization of Policemen. So he's responding to you. Go ahead, Ham.
Yes, it's definitely a problem. It's been a problem. Again, I'm working on a campaign to deal with images and positive images and making people feel, a little bit better about themselves and their culture, So that's a program that we all can get on and doing our part since, like you said, most of the energies is being directed towards downtown. But again, we're going to have to hold our people and our politicians more accountable, in our neighborhood. So there's always strength in numbers, sister, strength in numbers. The Constitution say we the people, and not we the police or we the politicians. It says we the people. And so unification is where we need to go. And I think it starts by us, going back to some of our old roots and being a neighborhood and a community again and loving oneself, because the man has taught us self-hatred. And we don't love and respect ourselves and all that craziness we see on TV, trying to assimilate to be somebody else and other than us, and not looking at our own culture and our ancestors in which they laid the path for us and the soldiers we stand on. So we're going to have to separate ourselves from that type of simulation and get back into our own community and culture.
Absolutely, Hamtonio. And if you want the real story on this, 360 info every Saturday at 11 o'clock. We're just the milk. This is the meat show when you want to get real deep into culture and all of that. Hamtonio.
Yes, sir.
For the sake of time, tell us what else is going on, sir.
Oh, you know the fight that we in. We're still working on, that CPPA endorsement situation and in the disrespect we felt as far as in the slap in the face of the community is concerned. So we're just planning our next step. And we definitely, let me get this out real quick. We want the people to know that it's not all police. It was white, black, and Hispanics who are in great disappointment and disagreement for an endorsement of Donald Trump and think that's personal choice and the police should be out of it.
Absolutely, brother. You're absolutely right, and you're leading that charge. What else you want to say in the next 2 minutes?
No, just we just want the community to support us and to know that the African American officer is in an interesting position, and I think it's who can be the best judge in order to get us into reform and to win that trust back in our community is the African American officer. Because if you just knew the stories that I've heard on the disrespect and the discrimination that the African American officers had endured in the past, present, and possibly in the future on doing what we're doing, you would understand the need even more so for coming together. And so that's the message I want to get out to the community. That Brother Art, and I sure appreciate you for and your crew and brothers and the Books Brothers and all, and Brother Al for coming out and supporting us in our press release.
Thank you very much, Hamptonia. We'll talk again, okay? My brother, you got the final word, ma'am, on your cousin.
Okay, I just want to say rest in peace, Derek Stewart. I want to just say to everyone who's lost a loved one, you know, to any type of violence or anything, just keep your head up. I am going to try and do the best that I can to fight, you know, to try to get this, you know, this resolved with everything going on. And God bless.
We're glad to have you in the struggle. We hate that it has to be under these circumstances. Thank you.
Sounds release party for Cleveland Conscious Rap Part 2, and I just want to thank a lot of people who showed up. I'm not going to name them all, but I want to thank people who came in from Black on Black Crime Incorporated, Black Man's Army, First Ladies Dynasty. We even had it done up right because we had a show host from Hood Talk Radio who came through EMAX who provided the sounds. Cleveland Conscious Rap is just what it says. It is none other than 32 songs of conscious music, and I'm very proud of that.
The studio, baby, just give your name for a moment, please.
Hi, I'm Kim Snyder.
Turn that microphone up again. Do it again, dear.
Hi, my name's Kim Snyder.
Kim Snyder, we're going to get with you in just a minute, but right now we want to talk about, you're going to love this guest. She's full of fire. Okay. She's going to, I'm telling you, you're going to love her conversation and where she's coming from. You know what?
All right.
The first thing she want to do is want to give you a hug. So that should tell you something right there about this conversation. It's a fast-moving show, so we're moving right along. Listen, this young lady here, I'll never forget her, and I only had met her once, and that was at the Spiritual Revival Church where President candidate Donald Trump was speaking to a full house at New Spirit Revival. Just so happened I was sitting right in the middle of the center, and I just happened to be, my seat, for some reason, God placed me there, was around a bunch of suburbanite Caucasian ladies, very nice ladies, believe me, and they hit me with the word. First of all, they wanted to know, the ladies that were sitting next to me, they wanted to, for some reason I became kind of a center of attraction because I had this red, black, and green hat on. They didn't know where I was or what I was, so the first thing they wanted to know, are you a Christian? And they said, we're Christians for Trump. And you know, contrary to what many had told me in the past, that's why it's good to be places like this, so you can see for yourself, contrary to what I've been was told in the past. Well, the people for Trump, they're country, or they're this or that, or out of touch. I found none of these ladies to be out of touch or country. They were bright, vibrant ladies. And this young lady that I happened to meet, tell them your name, ma'am.
Kim Snyder.
Kim Snyder. And the first thing you do when you see people, Kim, is what?
I hug them.
You hug them, and what that hug is all about.
Hugging de-escalates people. It builds bonds. It brings trust between you and the other party, and it also brings them out of their atmosphere if they're in a negative atmosphere. So hugging is phenomenal, and so I just love to hug people and just start building that trust with people.
Say your name one more time.
Kim Snyder.
Kim, Miss Kim, look. You need to, I got a suggestion how you can make $1 million. And that is, you need to write a great book on hugs. And the reason I say that to you, ma'am, is because many people, including myself, over the years have downplayed hugs, okay? Right. And don't realize the importance of hugs. Listen, I didn't realize the importance of hugs until my daughter came up missing some years ago. She was subsequently found dead. But during the period, the couple of weeks that we were searching for her, all I had in my heart and my hands and soul, I just wanted to see Denise and get one more big hug. And it was weird because, Kim, I'm not really a hugging person, and particularly at that time, I wasn't really a hugging person. But all of a sudden, I felt compelled to want to hug.
Right.
Oh, if I could just see my baby one more time and give her one more hug. That didn't happen.
Right.
But from that point on, I realized how significant it was to hug. So I get your point.
Right. Hugging makes people feel safe. They say you need 4 hugs a day just to survive. You need 8 hugs just to maintain, and you need 12 hugs a day for growth, personal growth.
So
Hugging's essential. We need to be hugged.
So Miss Kim, what would you say for people like myself that's not really hugging people? Now, like my wife, she's a hugging person.
Yeah.
Oh, get away from me. You know what I'm saying? But for people that I don't think Sam is a real hugging person, and I don't know that much about him. I could be wrong. Now, Brother Porter is more of a hugging person.
Right,
You
right.
can tell teddy bear type. But what's your advice for people that don't hug so much? Like myself, I'm kind of standoffish.
I would just say give it a try.
Give it a try.
I always honor people when they don't want to be hugged because I don't want to ever invade anyone's personal space. I honor that, but at the same time, I'll at least want to shake their hands.
Yes,
You know, so there's touch.
So many would think that this conversation is all about hugs right now, but it's not. That was just a lead in to
Right.
the way you treated people at that center, at the church at that time. But who are you really, Kim? What do you do?
I'm a full-time minister, and God has put the police on my heart, and also building a community between the police and the community and racism. And so God has given me the gift of hugging people to make that happen, to de-escalate people, to bring peace into negative situations, high-strung people, people that are really angry. And so God has, I ministered at the RNC here in Cleveland, and I was there 8 to 12 hours a day, and I was hugging all of the police and letting them know that I was praying for them, and then I was also hugging all the people that were there, the protesters, and then the people that were getting angry at the protesters as well. I would find out who was getting the angriest in the crowd, and I would just go in and just, start talking to them. And of course I had on my Free Hugs t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then I would say after, I built some trust with them, I would say, is it okay if I hug you? I always ask if I could hug. And they would say yes. And then all of a sudden there was just this peace that would come upon them. And they weren't angry anymore and ready to, pop off on somebody. So I was helping the community and helping the police and, saving the city because they were saying that we were going to have riots. They were going to destroy our city.
Right.
And I'm like, no way are they coming into Cleveland and destroying our city, So I just wanted to do my part to make sure that didn't happen.
So Minister Kim, following up, that's a part of it. The other part of it is your goal as far as helping the city
Yes.
is what?
I just want to see the community and the police come together. And I don't know how to make that happen, but I want to work with both sides and bring both sides together. And that's just what I'm doing right now. So that's why when I met you, I felt that was a God moment. And I just felt like I'm supposed to work with you. And then I'm also working with the police as Chief Calvin Williams. I'm
Yes.
going to start working with the Cleveland Police Department.
Yes.
And so I've always been able to negotiate and bring two parties together. And so that's what I'm hoping to do. I mean, I love Cleveland, and I want to do my part to bring healing to the city and healing to the community, healing to the police, and bring both sides together and strengthen, and so we can have growth in our city.
So you love the police and you love the people.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it works for me because I'm on both sides. I'm not just for the police or just for the community. I have a heart for both sides equally. And so I feel like God's always blessed me to bring those two sides together. And so that's kind of where he has me right now. The funny thing is, he's been sending me into protests and the riots now that have been happening throughout the country. I went to Milwaukee riots with my Free Hugs t-shirt on. And I went in and blessed the police, prayed for them, and then I also went into the riot zones, and I would just hug anybody that would let me hug them. I would pray for them. I would bless them, and they all thanked me for being there. And I feel like when we're carriers of God's love, we could go into any situation, no matter how dangerous it is, and we can bring peace into cities and into people's hearts, and that's what God is doing with me right now. And then I went into Charlotte, North Carolina when they had riots. God used me the same way.
Yes.
And I just got back from South LA when they were having the protests down there. And so I just feel kind of fearless about that stuff. I feel like, there's lives at stake on both sides, the police and the communities, and there's cities at stake and buildings and businesses. And so I'm willing to risk it all and go out and just release the love of God. And that's what it's all about. It's the love of God.
So when let's take for instance when you went to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So all right, the protest is going on there. Like as sometimes it's kind of volatile.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, first of all, I'm praying because I don't go into any situation like that without, the leading of God. And so I just pray and I just kind of walk through and I'm just really unassuming and I'm just, wearing the Free Hugs t-shirt really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because I'm stating what I'm there for. And so, and if people don't believe in God, that's okay because it's not about God or anything. It's just about bringing peace into their lives and into their situation. And so I always look for the people that are the most angry, actually. I'm drawn to them. And I just go over and I can just nonchalantly just start talking to them. I'm not preaching. I'm not even really talking about God at that point. I'm just like, hey, I get your heart. My heart breaks for you. I understand what you're going through. And I just try to reason with them a little bit in that, you know what? Your anger right now, it could get you killed or put in jail, and that's not going to help you right now. That's not going to solve your problem. It's going to make it worse. So, and I just start talking to them, and then they just they start trusting me. And then I always say, hey, I got this goofy shirt on that says Free Hugs. Can we hug? And they always say yes. And then as soon as they do that, it's just like, there's peace that comes upon them. And they're just, they're not so driven towards, protesting's fine and everything, but the anger and, trying to get, the violence and the rioting and stuff is what I'm trying to prevent.
All right, so how long have you been doing this?
Funny, it just started with the RNC.
Yeah.
July of 2016 here in Cleveland. So I've been praying for both sides for some time, but actually out on the streets in July, and then I just feel I'm kind of called to go into protests and riots throughout the country right now. I just feel like that's my calling right now.
All right, and you are a minister, right?
I am full time.
And you minister where?
I minister at Cleveland Bethel Cleveland, and Middleburg Heights is my church. But I also do freedom ministry. I'm all about freedom in people's lives, and it's just taking on a different format right now. But I'm all about bringing peace into people's lives, seeing people healed from traumatic events, people that have been traumatized, sexual abuse. God's really used myself and my team to see people healed of the soul issues, trauma issues, sexual abuse, addictions like crazy. We've seen so many people set free from like crack cocaine, heroin, drugs, alcohol, sex, you name it. And God can set anyone free from anything. And so I'm all about bringing freedom into anybody's life any way I can. It's just that he's given me a new platform to do that right now. So
yes. So how were you freely able to get in RNC and do what you do? You're a big wheel or something?
Far from it. Actually, what I did was before the RNC, my heart was breaking for the police because of the ambushes in Dallas and in Louisiana. So what I did was, the week before the RNC, I went into all the police stations here in the Cleveland area. There's, I think, 6 plus the headquarters. And I went in and I just took donuts. And I prayed for everybody. And I said, I'm declaring peace over our city, over our community, over our police officers. So I prayed for them. I prayed for their families. And I said, I'll see you down at the RNC. And I says, as a matter of fact, just so you know who I am, I'm going to go get a T-shirt made that says Free Hugs. So it just kind of all happened. It wasn't really a planned thing. And so when I went down there, I already established myself with them. So when they saw me down there, they're like, oh, there's the donut lady. And now I took on the nickname of the Hug Lady. So I was hugging them all, letting them know I'm there praying for them and I'm blessing them. And then I also did the same thing with the community, people that were down there, no matter what their reasons, whether they were the protesters or people angry at the protesters or just people just checking out to see what's going on down there. So I was praying for and blessing both sides of that were down there.
All right, this is the Art McCoy University Radio Show on 14, the New Spirit Revival Church. And I'm sitting in the midst of all you suburbanite women.
That's right. And what a blessing you were.
Yeah.
To us.
Yes. And you all were Christians for Trump.
Absolutely.
All right. So here's my question to you. I can truly understand you being Christian for Trump, godlike, and everything that you all inspired in me. Okay, so my question to you is this: now that we have had revelations about Trump as far as women is concerned, does that in any way change any of you suburbanites' thoughts on being Christian for Trump?
Not at all. If anything, I'm standing stronger for him. Number one, I think it's a smear campaign because all of those allegations have proven to be false. And what they're doing is, all you're hearing is about Trump and something he said, which he admitted he said, and it was horrifying. I don't defend any of that stuff. It was wrong that he said it, but he did say it 11 years ago. He wasn't running for president of the United States, and he repented for that, and he asked for forgiveness. So we extend that to him. These other allegations about him and women, they haven't been proven to be true. And what's happening is if you turn on the news, or you're, on Facebook and stuff like that, everything I see is about Trump and all the sexual stuff, but we don't see what's really happening in the world. All the newscasters and the broadcasters and the reporters are all talking about this. In the meanwhile, all the emails with Hillary's camp and the WikiLeaks and all the stuff that's going on, and they're saying that anyone that investigates her, all these people are dying all around her, and that's all being hidden and put under the rug, and they're all talking about Donald Trump and all these affairs, and it's like, go ahead.
All right, so Minister Kim, part of your title, part of one of your titles where you told me that you were I was listening to your titles, you told me that you were a sexual abuse or that kind of counselor. So how does that conflict with what you're telling me now?
Yeah, I don't believe that stuff happened. I don't believe that stuff happened.
Yes, ma'am. So when you do counseling, when you do the kind of counseling you do in that area, is that your attitude that you don't believe that it happened when a young lady comes to you, or what? Talk to me.
Not at all. Actually, because what I'm seeing on the news, and I haven't seen a lot of it recently because I've been traveling a lot, but what I'm seeing is these women that have come out with these allegations have been proven to it not be true. But when somebody does come to me and we minister in that area, we don't question what they're saying. We minister according to what they said happened. Absolutely. But what I'm saying is they're saying there is actually facts that these allegations have not been true. I haven't been able to follow it a lot because I've been on the road a lot, and so I haven't really been able to sit down and look into it, but I just see the headlines about all this stuff. So, but no, anytime somebody says that they've been sexually abused, I listen and I believe. I don't question.
Okay, but when it comes to the Republican candidate, you kind of question these women on what they're saying. Is that true?
Well, I think so, because people are rising up against these women and saying that's not true, she wasn't there, and stuff like that these are all made up things. So I'm just a little hesitant with that. I just feel like there's a smear campaign against Trump, and they're going to go after anything and everything they can. And I think some of these things you really can't prove, because they did happen so long ago. So
I can agree with you on that point, and I'm not trying to put you on a hot seat or anything, but the fact of the matter is, if you were doing your counseling and you weren't affiliated with the Trump campaign, or you would look at it a little different, wouldn't you?
If somebody sat in front of me and they were sexually abused, I would minister to them right where they're at. Whether it happened or not, they believed it happened, I would minister accordingly and just try to bring freedom into their lives. But when I minister to them, it's not about proving whether they were abused or not, and it's not going up against their accuser. It's just bringing inner healing to them for being sexually abused. So I minister according to what they bring to me.
Yeah,
I don't question it.
Yes, ma'am. I understand that clearly. So what you're saying as we wrap this up, like I said, this is not a hot seat. This is a love seat. This is a hug seat. Okay.
Amen.
And amen. Back to you. So what we're saying is that in spite of it all, and I know you can only speak for yourself,
right?
But most of the young ladies that I sit around at the church, at the rally for Trump, you all haven't wavered on y'all support a Christian for Trump. Is that right?
I have not.
Yep.
I have not.
Yes.
I know that a lot of people have fallen away from him because of these accusations. Absolutely, a lot of people have. I feel like it's a smear campaign against him.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what I feel it is. And so, yeah.
Well, listen, politics, there's all kind of smears in politics.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Absolutely.
give you credit for that. I'll give you credit. I'm not trying to be negative.
Oh,
I'll give
absolutely.
you credit for that, okay? There's all kind of smears, and you can look at this any way you wanted to, but I just thought that was an issue that's been in my head since all those beautiful ladies,
Absolutely.
including yourself, were so gracious and so nice to me, and that will always be dear in my heart. At that rally with Trump, sitting around you all and showing the love, Christians for Trump. So that's well and good. So what else is going on?
So I'm just looking to see how I can be a part of bringing healing to the community, healing between the community and the police. What does that look like? I want to be active in that. I don't want to just go into riots and protest, to bring peace into violent situations. Let's prevent the violent situations from happening. What can I do to do that? How can I play a part in that? I want to be a voice. I want to be active. I want to be fearless. I mean, this is my city. I love Cleveland like nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that everybody is living the life that they were created to live and be fruitful and to be, prosperous and to have a good quality life. What can I do to make that happen? I'm all about bringing freedom into everybody's life. How do I do that now in a city?
Your fire, I feel your hug. I feel your compassion. I feel the work that you want to do. It would be an honor for me to work with you because even though many might not believe it, but I am with you. I love the police. I love the people, and I would love to work with you on coming to some common ground in making that work.
Right.
I see nothing wrong with that.
I would be honored to do that. And I would love to just minister to the people too. That's just my heart. There's so many people addicted to drugs, alcohol, pornography, all that kind of stuff. I would love to minister to those people because God can set them free in a split second. They don't need rehabilitation. They need God. When God comes into somebody's life, you have an authentic encounter with Father God. You are like forever changed. And we've seen it over the years. I've been in this ministry since for about 14 years now. And I've seen so many people set free from so many things and traumas and stuff like that. So many people have been traumatized before they're 7 or 8 years old, and they're carrying those wounds into childhood, and it changes them, and it draws them into their addictions and stuff like that. And God can heal that like in a split second. And I've seen it, so I'd love to somehow bring that ministry into the people you minister to. Amen.
Mr. Kim?
Amen. I agree. They say that they'll know that we're children of God by our love. Everywhere we go, we should change atmospheres because we're carrying so much of God's love inside of us that people are just changed because we enter a room. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to go into places where it's really dark, where there's a lot of anger. And I pray I've been in the presence of God so much that people are changed just because I show up. And then when I hug people, I pray that the tension leaves their body, the anger leaves their body. And I just pray they feel like they've just hugged Jesus, like somebody with, Jesus with skin on, We're all supposed to be doing that. And love can change our world. And I think that only God is going to be able to flip the city of Cleveland.
Minister Kim, this is for you.
Father God, we just love you so much, and we thank you what you're getting ready to do in the city of Cleveland. Father God, I just pray for unity over Cleveland. I pray for unity between the police and the community, Father God, and I pray that the community would rise up into all that they have been called to be, Father God. I speak freedom into their lives. I speak freedom and hope into the city of Cleveland, the people, and the police force. In Jesus' name, amen.
And who are you?
Kim Snyder, from also known as Hug Lady from Bethel, Cleveland in Middleburg Heights.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kim.
Thanks for having me. God bless you.
But let me give you history again.
Yes, sir.
Now you just talked about you just talked about a rally and an event that happened at the Black Shields organization, a Black Shields police organization, in which the Black Shields themselves protested the actions of Steve Loomis, the CPPA, Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association actions that he took following up with Donald Trump.
Yes.
All right. Now, I'm going to give you a little history. And Melanated Media News, you don't know nothing about this, so it's going to shock your ears too, all right? I am the only activist, I am probably the only person in this city that made Loomis pay a penalty for what he done for me, what he done to me, all right? On the west side, some years ago, me and two of my soldiers, Brother Alvin and Brother Calvin, we were at a community event for honoring a policeman, a slain policeman, when Steve Loomis, who was head of the CPPA then he lost it and then he came back. But at that time, Steve Loomis had nerve enough to get in my path, block me with his big self, and say to me that, hey man, you're not marching with the people. You understand? You're not marching, and actually block my path from marching. Brother Alvin and Calvin came by and said, hey man, what are you doing? Well, how you gonna block that man? He actually tried, the big burly self tried to block me. However, just so happened Chief McGrath at that time, now he's a safety director or something else, another position, but at that time Chief McGrath saw what was happening. Saw this policeman, Loomis, trying to intimidate me with his big stomach and stuff. And so I said, man, what are you doing? He said, no, you're not going. So Chief McGrath himself had to come up there and say, hey, what's going on here? You understand? And so because of that, Chief McGrath really defused the situation because I wasn't scared of Loomis and his bully tactics. So anyway, because Chief McGrath asked me to back off, and I backed off for a moment, but I still went on with what I had to do. But because of that incident, Steve Loomis, he had a choice. He had a choice to apologize to me or get suspended for 3 days. You know he wasn't going to apologize because he's too headstrong, even though he was wrong. So he got suspended for 3 days. Look it up in the history book. He got 3 days for trying to disrupt me and bully Art McCoy. So I'm the only one that can really say that they have tried to deal with Steve Loomis. But at that time, none of the ministers or none of the activists, nobody came and stood up against Loomis. Then they scared of him, but I did. So that's just history. I don't know how he got my number, but Anton Lewis called me the other evening from the federal penitentiary, and he told me that he was in lockdown for 23 hours out of the day, but he was going to be, his status was changing in the next few months, and he was going to stay in touch. He still declares his innocence, but we didn't get a chance to talk that much in that area. But it's just surprising that Anton Lewis called me, the young man that's accused and was convicted of the worst arson fire that killed 9 people in the city of Cleveland. Y'all stay in touch with that, okay? Go ahead.